What is up, good people? Crypto Prepper here. Today is Monday. Monday. Oh no, Friday, May 15th, 2026. All right. So today we are looking at a fear and greed index of 46, and Bitcoin just dropped back below 80,000. That's 79.2. Okay, so today we are going to find the best HBAR Hedera trading bot for 2026. So let's pop over to our Bitscap trading platform. And first, we are going to look at the grid bot to figure out setting up a range here, what kind of APY we could get. So what I did on this is I went back to May 15th, 2025. And I tried to go halfway into the candle and I measured down and up the same distance. And in this case, I went down and up 65%. And then I clicked and dragged my high and low price to cover that range. So I'm moving this up just a little bit because I like to have the, come on, I like to have that top line right where that arrow, the tip of the arrow is. There we go. I think that's as close as we're going to get. So the next thing I do is I go over here to the settings here and I change the initial investment to 1,000. I used to think that you had to have more for it to really pay you, um, really pay you decently. But I've recently found out I was wrong. So anyway, we start out with an investment of $1,000. And then the only other thing we change here is the grid levels. The grid levels default at 100 for Coinbase, and that's because that's the max. But I always take it down to usually around the 50 range. You can play around to see what kind of back test you would like, but 50 seems to work pretty well. And as you can see, it produced a pretty decent return here. The other things that I didn't turn this off earlier, this pump protection, but in the grid bots, it doesn't make a difference. It does make a difference in the DCA bots. So if you just want to be in the habit of turning that off, it's going to help you out if you're setting up grid and DCA bots. Okay, so let's do a back test. It might change a little bit from that 19 and percent. Oh, okay, so it did change a little bit when I spread that top line up a little bit, but not too much. And if you are not happy with 18% APY, then I don't know what to tell you. This is awesome. So we had, of course, a lot of action because it moved up not quite 65%, maybe 55, and then it moved all the way back down to the 65% below what it was last year. So I didn't measure from here to here. But it doesn't matter. 18.41% APY is pretty good. So you could set up a bot, a grid bot on HBAR, and I used USDT because it was the lowest volume that you have on Coinbase. So, oops. Okay. So hopefully I don't need to rerun that because I must have accidentally clicked something and reset it. But let's move on and look at the DCA bot. So we're going to actually go through the settings here. Before running the back test, you can kind of cheat if you're curious by looking down here. But anyway, we have our HBAR USDC, our initial investment of $1,000. Then we go to our bot settings. We want it to start out with an immediate $31.25 order. And then the averaging orders amount is going to be 968.75. So adding those two together gets you that 1,000. The next thing, most of the time it defaults at 5, but what this tells it is how many limit orders to put underneath. And then the distance between them is the averaging order step percent. So in this case, 6% worked out pretty well. And then the amount multiplier here you're going to slide that over to X2 and turn off step multiplier. Then for our take profit, 5% for these settings. And under our risk management protection, pump dump protection, we're going to turn that off. Okay, so let's double check to make sure nothing has changed since I ran that back test before. And 32.34% APY. So that is always the first thing I look at. Next thing I look at is whether or not you have these little green lines underneath these back tests, because that tells me that not only has it worked for you all year long, paid you $323 off of $1,000 investment, but then you also basically uh, just a tenth, so 5 days ago, it looks like it sold and took some profit and then restarted itself. So if you were to sell this today or stop this bot today, you would recoup your entire initial investment of 1,000, plus you already have this in your USDC wallet, and that's been accumulating this whole year. 12 to or $1.55 looks like is the lowest, to 49.95, depending on how vested the bot was. So like when you see a waterfall here where it goes, it purchased, 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 purchased. Uh, it might not have been fully vested. Let's see. Oh yeah, no, here. So it purchased and then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So it was fully vested here going into the February 5th capitulation. But then, a week later, it took profit, paid you $50 for being patient. So, pretty damn slick. And then the third thing I look for that holds the least weight, but it's something that I just like to keep in mind, is I don't like to see anything more than a month of naked chart here. So here we have about a month here, and then from the March 29th to May 11th. So let's see, we have more than a month, almost a month and a half, is that right? About a month and a half, maybe a month and 3 weeks. So, but that, I don't know how that could be avoided, except for when you go to, well, of course, my back test doesn't to show, but you can rewind the video and see all the activity this bot would have had in the last, uh, what is that? 80, 60 to 80 days, um, or about 60 days, not less. That's not quite 2 months, but you would be able to see all the activity that has. So it looks like this setting here, these settings that I showed you just a minute ago, is going to be the best option, best trading bot for HBAR in 2026. The next thing I want to do is I want to update you on my actual own personal HBAR bot that if you were watching, March 2nd, so 2.5 months ago, then you saw me set this bot up. And I initially did it because Kraken was doing some kind of promotion where if you're trading HBAR, then you would get rewarded in HBAR. I never got rewarded in the HBAR, so I don't know if I didn't meet all the qualifications, but that was really just for shits and giggles. I didn't really care too much about that. And when I set this up, I set it up a little riskier than I typically would. So you can see this is what I would do if I was setting up a bot today on HBAR, is I would set it up with this 5, 5, and 5, uh, settings here with the, 5, 6, and 5, sorry. So averaging orders quantity 5, averaging order step percent 6, and take profit 5. But with this one, what I did, and we can look at the details. Uh, what I did here was I started it out with a little bit more than 1,000, so $1,250, averaging orders quantity 5 still, but the averaging order step was a little riskier, and you can see overall it's kind of paid off because this bot is my third best performing bot that I have, based on average daily percentage. But we went from March 19th to May 10th. So almost 2 months without seeing any activity. And I didn't care. I let it ride because I figured it would come back up eventually. And, but if I would have needed that, that bot, the money in that bot, I would have had to close it at a loss anywhere throughout here where you don't see any action. So, but luckily I didn't have to. And it has paid me 11.59% just in bot profit. And if I were to close it out today, I would be up 11.2% because it has purchased a couple times since its last sell. And the cells are marked with a red line or red circle. You can see it here, it's separate, but here you can barely see it. Most of the time you can't see it at all. So, I'm just gonna continue holding this bot, and then next time it pops back up to 9.8 cents, it's going to take profit and pay me $11. Um, I'll see about $11 after they take their fees or whatever from the exchange, unless it ends up popping down here and purchasing more, then that take profit will be lower. Where it takes profit will be lower, but the actual profit it takes will be higher. So hopefully that makes sense, but just thought I'd give you an update since we were talking about HBAR. So hopefully that helps you in your bot journey. If you liked the video, give me a thumbs up. If you did not like the video, give me a thumbs down. If you want to see more of these videos, subscribe to the channel. And if you have a favorite coin, leave it for me in the comments and I'll set up a bot for you. All right, thanks for watching, and we'll see you on the next one.